So I might have been just a bit unfair, and what I mean by that is I have made so many videos about why you should purchase this, the Xbox Series S, but I haven't made any about why you shouldn't. And while I don't want you to think that this is a trap, this is not going to be a video filled with double negatives. This video is 100% the reasons why you should not buy an Xbox Series S. You see, I've gotten a lot of negative comments. You're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, the Series S sucks, it's trash, all this nonsense. And while I think that it's pretty ridiculous to yell at anybody on the internet, I will say this, it comes from a place where there might be some truth to it. And while I don't think that this at all is trash, I will say there are very specific reasons why you shouldn't buy one. In fact, I would steer you in the Series X direction or even a PlayStation 5. So let me give you these 7 reasons why you shouldn't buy one of these and a bonus tip, okay? But I'm not gonna make you wait till the end for the bonus tip because I'm not gonna bait you. I'm not gonna make you watch my whole video for video retention sake, and I've done that in the past. So the bonus tip, what is it? You should not buy one of these if you have no intention of getting Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate or any of the versions of Game Pass at all. Because, well, there's no disc drive. And so unless you have a plethora of digital titles already, and if you do, then this video probably isn't for you, this is not going to treat you well. You have to buy games at retail or on sale, but digitally. You don't get to try them. You don't get to do any of that kind of stuff. Unless you have games with gold and you're just restricted to whatever they give out for free, you're honestly just not going to be able to save any money with games. So the money you save on the console, you end up making up for in buying games. And that's the bonus tip. That's the only one I would say that if you are that person, do not get the Series S. Now let's get into the top 7, and this is how this works. If you're 2 out of 7, I would suggest probably not this. If you're 3 out of 7, any 3 of these, absolutely steer clear of the Series S. Now, real quick question for you, if you've ever been someone who's been baited into watching a full video just to feel like there was no value, hit the like button. We've all been there. If you're someone who is a button masher, thumbstick thrasher, and here to have a good time playing video games, hit that subscribe button. Thing number 1, ladies and gentlemen. Thing number 1 why you should not get an Xbox Series S, this is your only console. There's no other consoles, nothing. This is it, the Series S, nothing else. No Switch, no Xbox One, no Xbox One S, no 360. I'm not gonna waste your time. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Again, we're trying to hit 2 out of 7, okay? That's number 1. If that is you, this is all you got, 1 check mark. Number 2, you do not plan on buying any sort of external storage. And well, the storage situation with this, even though this does have an SSD inside of it and it runs like a dream, it's still only 364 gigs of usable space. And that fills up really quick with the size of games these days. That being said, if you're not someone who wants to expand the storage and you want to utilize that SSD, the velocity architecture, the quick resume, all that stuff, and you don't want to transfer back and forth, the only way you can do that is with the Seagate memory cards. And the cheapest one, the 512 card, is $109, $110. We're excluding all sales in this, because of course if there's sales you can do many other things. But 110 plus 300 is $410, and a Series X is $500. And of course with the 512 expansion, you get a little bit more than the Series X would allow you to have, which is 808 gigs. So yeah, 512 plus 364, around 876. If it's in a direct translation, I don't think it's direct, but let's just say it's over 850. But that still means that you have spent $410 instead of $500 on a disk drive list and well, less performance than the Series X. Might not be the best option. Okay, number 3 is you already have games. And I'm not talking about digital games, though if you've been using Xbox for a while and you've had Xbox Live Gold, then you probably have a plethora of free games that some are good, some are bad, but you have hard copies. That is a huge check mark in the don't get category, because this has no disk drive. You're not gonna be able to use any of those games. And though there are rumors of how they're potentially working on a system where you get a digital copy of a physical game, I don't know. It's just up in the air, it isn't here. So if you're someone who has an extensive library, and I mean like 15 plus games, not like a couple or like 4 or 5. I mean like you really have a library, you've been doing this for a while, and those games are valuable to you and you wanna keep playing them, then this might not be the best option for you. There's no disk drive. And so you're stuck with just digital games only, and again, Game Pass Ultimate games if you are someone who's still gonna get Game Pass Ultimate or Game Pass, nonetheless. So that is number 3. Number 4 is if you're someone who has, well, a nice TV. And by nice TV, I mean a newer one with HDMI 2.1, specifically HDMI 2.1, because HDMI 2.1 allows you to play games at 4K and as well as 120 frames per second, right? That combination is something we've all been looking at and everyone's been talking about. Though there are few games that allow you to do that, there are very few games that have true 4K native and 120 frames per second. HDMI 2.1 is required to see that high frame rate as well as higher resolutions. Number 5 is if you're someone who uses your gaming console as your media player. Now, this does stream at 4K. This does have great streaming capabilities. But for those of us with extensive Blu-ray collections, that's not possible. And if you are exclusively using your gaming console for your media player, then the Series S is not going to be the right option for you, okay? And now let's just go back and check it out, okay? So again, 2 out of 7 here, 2 out of 7. Xbox Series S is the only console you have. You use your gaming console as exclusive media. Boom, those two knock this thing off the list, right? If you use it for exclusive media, you can't do that, okay? Xbox Series S is your only console and you have a TV that has HDMI 2.1. Maybe still, right? But you don't want to expand the storage. There you go, 3 out of 7, no good. See how that works? Cool, let's go on to number 6. If you're someone who, when you play a game, you prioritize graphics over performance, this is gonna leave you wanting. It's a great system, but it does not perform on the same level as the Series X when it comes to graphics, when it comes to resolution, when it comes to the actual fidelity, okay? This thing is advertised as a 1440p, upscales to 4K beautifully, but again, if you're using a nice TV, you're gonna see it. If you are someone who prioritizes graphics, prioritizes visuals over performance, you're absolutely gonna see it, and you might not even be given the options that you would be getting on a Series X that you would get here, right? Performance here often is at 30 frames per second. Performance on the X may, in some cases, be at 60. So that is something that you want to take into consideration there. And the 7th and final reason why I would steer you clear from the Xbox Series S is kind of a weird one, but stick with me for this. If you're someone who's watched like 9 videos about which one should you buy the Series X. You're going to just keep watching videos about, man, maybe I should buy this, maybe I should buy that. If you are someone who has the money to do it, you're just maybe trying to save a buck or two, you're just going to be disappointed in the long run because you're never going to be satisfied with this guy because you're trying to convince yourself that this is the one for you. Honestly, if you're someone who, this again is your 8th, 9th, 10th time watching a video, hey, watch all my videos, great. Does me wonders and it helps the channel grow, but let's just be honest with ourselves here. If you're trying to convince yourself, and it's been months of you trying to convince yourself, is this Series S the right one for me? I don't know, maybe this, maybe that. Just get the Series X. You're gonna be a lot happier. The extra money you spend is going to last you longer, and you're spending money on peace of mind. And you know, we don't talk about it much because spending money on peace of mind is a whole concept for its own thing, and then being grateful for what you have is another thing. I'm just throwing it all out the window and saying this. If you buy a system, your good hard-earned money, and you're like, man, I don't know if I made the right decision. Might not suit me. It's not gonna give me enough. Just get the other one. Get the other one. I know, it sounded weirdly, didn't it? I hope it helped you guys out. I'm trying to help you guys out as much as possible. If you like this sort of thing, as I said, hit the like, sub if you wanna. Most of all, happy gaming.